So we have got question 8, right? So you have 7x times n minus 3n minus 4y times 3n minus m. Okay? Now, before you factorize this question here, first thing, look at your binomial. Okay? Your binomial is here for the first term, you've got m minus 3n multiplying 7x. Then for the second term, you've got 3n minus m multiplying 4y. Now, I'm sure you can see that here we start with m, but here we start with what? 3n, which means we need to do something about that. We need to switch either for the first term, or rather for the first term in the first bracket, we switch the m and the minus 3n, or for the second bracket here, you switch the 3n and the m. Now, in my case, because m starts first on the English alphabet, I'll keep this m as it is. So the first binomial, I'll keep it as it is, which means I need to rewrite this 3n minus m by starting with m. Okay? So my next step is to interchange those two. So I'll write here 7x times m minus 3n minus 4y, open bracket. Now, when you open the bracket, be aware that the m is negative. So write this minus m plus 3n, right? Then we close the what? The bracket. Yes. Right. Then the next thing now, since in the first bracket here, we have got an m that's positive and a 3n which is negative, meaning I need to make this m positive, make that 3n negative. To do that, I have to factor out negative 1. So when you factor out negative 1, you get 7x times m minus 3n minus 4y. Now, because of the factoring out, I'm going to introduce a square bracket. Then I'll factor out minus 1. Okay, I hope you know this. You've done it last year. So you get m here. If I factor out negative 1, this m becomes positive when it's inside the bracket. The 3n becomes negative. Right? Then you close the bracket. Alright? Okay? Now the next thing which is going to happen is that this minus 1, it's more like it's an invisible 1. It's going to multiply that minus 4y. And then you end up having a positive 4y. Okay? So let me move on to the next page. Yes?
So what if you do that?
What if you do what? What if you do what?
What if I do the first step?
Do the first step and the second step. What do you mean by that?
I do the first step.
You did this one first,
Yes.
so you didn't write this one.
I did it. Okay.
Well, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. But you see now, how did you write this one first before that?
Because last time we said you want to swap the number in the bracket, you want to take the number outside the opposite.
Okay, can I tell you something? I think you need to understand that the way that I'm teaching you here, I'm taking you to the foundation. What your teacher in grade 9 told you to memorize. I'm not teaching you how to memorize. I'm teaching you where it comes from. What your teacher in grade 9 was saying, where does that come from? Okay? You're supposed to ask your teacher, why are you saying that? Explain to us, ma'am, why you're saying this. Okay? You have got a right to question me. Okay? Or any teacher. If you don't have clarity about something, you can ask. So in my case, when I teach, I don't teach this step first. I start with that. Because you need to interchange the terms. Then after that, what? You factorize. Not the other way around. I don't agree with starting this first, then you go to that one. Then you must explain to me how you move from here to there first, because already here, I need to factorize. So you can't start by factorizing before you change the position of the term. I don't agree with that technique, yes. Well, if you decide that you don't want to write this step here, it's fine. But you see, I'm a teacher. I need to show you how I moved from here to this step, to that step. Remember, as a teacher, it's very important for me to make sure that everybody in the class understands what I'm doing. Okay? So if you understand moving from here straight away to there, okay, it's fine. Okay, but I don't want to do that because someone will ask, how did you end up moving from here to there? And I have to give an answer for that. So the answer is this step. All right. So let me carry on. So from here now, I'm sure you can see that I'm going to multiply the minus 4y and then the negative 1 inside the square bracket. So if I do that multiplication, I'll end up getting 7x times m minus 3n plus 4y times m minus 3n. Right? Then you can see that we have a common factor here. That's m minus what? 3n. So I'll take out the common factor. Sorry. I'll take out the common factor. It's m minus 3n. Then, to get the first term inside the binomial there, you divide this whole term here by the common factor. I'm sure you can see that this cancels with that, you've left with that 7x. Also here, you divide that whole term by the common factor. And this binomial cancels with that, you've left with positive 4y. So that will be your final answer. Right? Please, you must bear with me. I'm a teacher. Right? If I was writing a test on my own, I could move straight away from here to the answer. Okay? But I'm a teacher. I need to make sure that everybody in the class understands what's going on. Yes? Well, the question can have maybe, I would say 3 marks. Okay? But 3 marks. Yes. But you get, it's most likely that you get 2 marks for the answer, and then 1 mark is for the simplification which I did up to, maybe I would say, we'll give you a mark for this step here, and then 2 for that. Okay. All right. Is there anybody else with a question? If you didn't get the answer, I'm sure you have seen how I do it. Okay. In my case, I won't teach you just to memorize things, to memorize a positive sign and then negative sign. You need to know where it comes from. Okay? You don't have to memorize. You need to know where it comes from. So we go back to first principle. All right? Okay. So let's move on to the next one. So the next one is question 11. Right? It's the same way. So we have 2x times 3p plus q plus 4y times minus q minus 3p. Okay. Now this one here, we've got a 3p plus a q here. Here we've got minus q minus 3p. Okay, like what I said earlier, first I'm going to interchange those two terms. Okay, so I'll interchange this and that first, change their positions. So the question will become 2x times 3p plus q plus 4y times minus 3p minus q. Okay, that's my first step. Then I'm going to factor out minus 1 inside that bracket. Okay, to make the 3p positive and the q positive, because here we have a positive 3p and a positive q. So we end up getting 2x times 3p plus q, right, plus 4y, and we open the square bracket, you get minus 3p plus q. Okay, I am not memorizing that, okay, since this sign is a positive 4y, it's supposed to be a minus 4y. You don't need to memorize. Why would you want to clutter your brain with that? You can do it from first what? Principles. Okay. Right? Then this minus 1 here multiplies that positive 4. That's how you come up with that negative that your teacher in grade 9 was telling you about. You're supposed to ask, ma'am, how did you end up having that negative 4y? And the teacher was supposed to go back to first principles. Right? Then from there, we end up having this is 2x times 3p plus q. Then that becomes minus 4y times 3p plus q. Now you can see that we have a common factor. This binomial is equivalent to that. Therefore, that's our common factor. Hey, can you pay attention? Pay attention. Pay attention. So our common factor is 3p plus q. Then you open your bracket, you divide the first term by the common factor. By now you know that you'll be left 2x minus 4y. Then that's your final answer. Any question? Yes? Okay. Then we're doing number 15. Alright. Now, number 15, I'm sure you can see that we have how many terms here? 3 terms. Remember, your terms in algebra are separated by a plus sign or a minus sign. So we've got minus sign here, which means this is a term because that's a binomial, it's inside brackets, it's one term. That's also another term, that's another term. So we have got 3 terms. Right? Now it looks scary, but this is not as challenging as you might think it is. Right? So we have a minus 3b minus c times 3b minus a plus d times 3b minus a. Okay? Now when you have got something like this, first thing, it's up to you to decide whether you want to start with a binomial with a first or with 3b. I'm going to choose to start with a first. So I won't touch this first binomial. But I want to make this binomial equal to that. Also, I want to make this binomial here equal to the first one. So both this one and that one, I'm going to convert them to a minus 3b. Yes?
Sir, you have to choose that one there to choose any of the binomials to change.
Sorry?
When you're choosing the binomials to change, you have to change the b minus a or can you change the a minus b?
It's your choice. You can even change this one to 3b minus a. It's your choice. Okay? In the end, the answers should be more or less the same. There might be different terms of how you write them. Because obviously, if you decide to have your common factor in the end as 3d minus a, it's going to affect the one which is here, which is invisible. It's going to affect this minus c. It will also affect that positive d. Okay? All right. I think I'll probably do it as method 2. Right, so let's start with method 1. Right? So first thing, I'll rewrite that. So with A minus 3B minus C, then I'm going to open a square bracket there, right? Please allow me, by now you should understand that if I switch the minus A and the positive 3B and factorize, I'll get minus A, open bracket, minus what? 3B. You should understand that by now. After what I explained there. Then this one is going to become D times minus A minus 3B. Okay? Then I'm sure you can see that we need to remove this negative one here and that negative. So the C becomes positive, the D becomes what? Negative. Right? So we'll end up having A minus 3B minus, actually becomes a plus C times A minus 3B minus D times A minus 3B. Okay? Yes. You change what? Yeah, it's fine. That's what he asked about. You can also convert the A minus 3B to 3B minus A. Okay? So your final answer, you can write the final answer down. You can see that we have a common factor there. That's A minus 3B. So you take out the A minus 3B. Now be aware that there is an invisible one here. Okay? So when I open the second bracket, it's going to be made up of 3 terms. Okay? So the first term in that second bracket is going to be a 1. The next one will be a C. The third one will be minus D. So this will be your answer. Okay? So the answer will be A minus 3D times 1 plus C minus D. Now, what happens now if you had decided to change A minus 3B to 3B minus A? So let's do it again using method 2. Okay, so you can call this one method 1. Any question? Okay, let me move quickly. What? Yes, this is the one. All right. So let me erase this quickly. So I'm going to redo starting from that step. Okay, so let's call this one method 2. So this will be method 2. You can write that in your book, that's method 2. The previous one is method 1. Right, so let's interchange A and minus 3B. If we do that, we'll end up getting minus 3B minus A. Okay, I expect you to understand this now. I interchange A minus 3B, then I factored out minus 1. You will get this. Then minus C times 3B minus A plus D times 3B minus A. Right? Now you can see that our common factor is going to be 3B minus A. So this will be 3B minus A times. Now here we have an invisible negative 1 now. Here. Okay? So when I write my second bracket, I'll start with minus 1, then followed by minus C plus D. Okay? If you want as well, you can put this minus 1 here at the end of the second bracket so that it becomes, well, minus C plus D minus 1 is still the same. Because when you use FOIL, you will come back to that. So you need the question can have 2 solutions, this one and the other one, depending on which one did you decide to change. The first term here or that 3B minus A. Yes?
So they both C, right?
Yes, both are right because if you remove the brackets, you come back. Okay. If you want, you can try that at home.